Came in averaging 117. What did you think was the strongest part of the defense, and how did you think that ended up being a factor today?
The key to the game, and we always have three keys: defense, stretch. We just couldn't make a shot. I mean, we were generating wide open catch and shoot threes from good shooters, and just couldn't knock them down. But you go down the stretch. I think we had 3 or 4 possessions where we end up either deflection or steal, and all of that was on multiple efforts. Like, we were able to sustain that for all 4 quarters.
JJ, drawing a foul, an offensive foul, I should say, obviously is a turnover and can sometimes take points off the board. But what is that type of commitment when you have, I think, 3 or 4 guys take one today, say about the defensive mentality that you had?
Yeah, that's a sacrificial play. I mean, you got to put your body on the line, and our guys have been motivated to do that all year. We've been really good with charges, and for a lot of guys, I think of AR, Smart, like they're not coming over to block shots on a Karl-Anthony Towns, right? That's your job as the low man. You can do verticality, you can block a shot, or you can take a charge. And I thought, whether it was Luka, AR, Smart, Smart had whatever he had, 1 for 10, but plus 27, and really, really impactful game from him. I think back to the end of the third quarter, we've got a comfortable lead, but he saves 2 points when we turn the ball over at the end of the quarter by forcing Clarkson to pass it. So, the charges were great. I thought, based on what they just did in Denver and the comments I made to my coaching staff, they were more physical than Denver, which is saying a lot because, Denver's a physical team. Gordon was back in the lineup. Jokic is out there. I thought they were the more physical team, and tonight we were the more physical team.
JJ, over this stretch where you guys have struggled against the good teams or the best teams in the league, you guys have been in position to win some of those games down the stretch, and the offense hasn't been there for you, and that was, I think, in some ways the case last year, even in the series against Minnesota. What did you just kind of make the final 4 minutes from you guys tonight? Hit a couple big shots, but played such good defense that it almost didn't matter. What did you just kind of make of that specific stretch?
Well, we got good looks, and we had some low clock possessions, but part of it was we wanted to eat some clock. And my other just kind of observation on it was we had a first night back-to-back in Denver. And Denver, for anybody that's been in the NBA, and I'm sure you guys that have traveled, how long that trip is to the airport. And that, whether it's the first night or the second night, a Denver back-to-back always takes a lot out of you. And then we've got a quick turnaround after Friday's game, a 12:30 afternoon game. We lose an hour of sleep. So, to me, this wasn't an offensive game. It wasn't going to be an offensive game. This was going to be a gritty, tough game that we had to win with effort, and we did that.
To follow up, how many wins this season do you think you could describe that way? That hasn't really been this group's overarching identity, but it feels like more recently there's been a handful. Are you encouraged by that?
Yeah, again, I'm not in a position where I can overreact. I let you guys do that. Fans, rightfully so, should always overreact. It's what makes fandom so awesome. I know as a kid, growing up as a Duke fan, I cried after every single Duke game.
Dean Smith cut that one.
Yeah, Dean Smith cut it. I cried after every Duke game they lost. I was an overreactor. My job is not to overreact. We're 15-9 in our last 24. We're a top 10 offense, a top 15 defense. That's what we wanted to be coming into the season with this group, and that's where our group is right now.
Lakers have pulled off a big win, and with these two guys in the backcourt playing the way they did today, Allie, look, the Knicks are a good team, a good defensive team. Usually they make the opponent look tired. I thought the Knicks looked fatigued tonight. For most of the game, a little run early in the fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson kind of fueling it. He played heavy minutes tonight, and they got to play the Clippers here tomorrow night.
They tried. I think there were moments where the Knicks tried to get physical. Yep. They got fouls called on them. They tried to take, but the Lakers responded, which is something that they don't always do, and I thought that was a good sign too, but they met force with force, and I don't know if the Knicks were expecting that, but when the Lakers came with their physicality, it kind of shut the Knicks down a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like LaRavia was nice tonight. We already talked about Kennard off that bench. I thought they got some really nice efforts. You talk about Luka taking charges. I thought he took at least 2, but only one was called. There was another one where it's like, how's that not a charge? Yeah, and Austin Reeves is back there. Marcus Smart, he just turned 32 a couple days ago. He's playing out there like he's 22 again. Defensively, I was really impressed by this win, Allie. The Lakers needed this. They really did. They can start eating into that stat where they're just not good against teams over 500. Because look at their schedule. You alluded to it earlier. You're going to have Minnesota coming up. You got another game against Denver. You've got 2 games in Houston next week.
Yep. You
got the Pistons not long after that. This is a brutal month. So they didn't fare as well as they could have. Maybe a small moral victory in Denver the other night. Did not win the game. That's all that matters. This is a moral victory and a victory in the standings, too.
I was going to say, JJ likes to use reference points when it comes to looking back on the season and where you can build from. This is obviously a good one. You did some great things. You had an opportunity versus Denver a couple nights ago. Yeah. So being able to kind of put that in your cap as you head into this thick of the Western Conference.
I'd much rather have that scenario than to be hot all season long and then fall off at the end of the season. Right now where they are, if they can continue to climb, it'll be perfect timing for them as they move into the playoffs.
The Lakers winners of 5 of their last 6 as we head back down.
News, they fall to 8th now. Meanwhile, Hannah, Jason Tatum scheduled to play his 2nd game, returning from a torn right Achilles this afternoon as the Celtics take on the Cavaliers on ABC. In his first game back Friday night, Tatum had 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists in 27 minutes against the Mavericks. Our George Sedano, who worked that game Friday night, has more on Tatum and today's game from Cleveland.
Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics is looking for his 2nd start potentially against the Cleveland Cavaliers at 1 o'clock Eastern on ABC today. I was with him on Friday to talk about just the journey that he's been through, an emotional journey. Certainly it was surreal to get that start on Friday. He talked to me about the dark times, about how there were moments when he cried just trying to get through the rehab, a very emotional time. But what uplifted him was being around his teammates during the whole season, and that's allowed him to get to this point. When I spoke to Joe Mazzulla, he told me the idea is to continue to have no minutes restriction with him, although they'll be smart about it. They will play it by ear depending on how his body reacts to the workload that he's going to be dealing with. But the expectation is that Jason Tatum will start again on Sunday in Cleveland. And again, no minutes restriction moving forward for the forward and all-star for the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum.
All right, let's bring in NBA analyst Quentin Richardson and get some Q-tips for some of these playoff contenders. Start with Celtics and the Cavaliers. Your Q-tips for both teams to finish the season strong. Start with Boston, please.
Man, my Q-tip for the Celtics is simple. You heard George Sedano just saying what Coach Mazzulla's plan is to continue to do the things. He did a great job coming into the season, having a game plan to keep them afloat. The team, the players, and the individuals that were out there, Jaylen Brown and company, they did an outstanding job. Now just continue to do everything you're doing while implementing Jason Tatum, an all-NBA player who's going to do nothing but upgrade everything you guys have been doing.
What about Cleveland?
My Q-tips for Cleveland is simple, man. First, you got to get healthy. You need Donovan Mitchell and you need James Harden healthy, but Donovan is clearly the closer. He's the guy that down the stretch is going to close out the games, got to be explosive with his scoring in the fourth quarters and in the second half to close out the games for them. And they need James Harden to be the point guard and the guy that's getting everybody involved and making sure those bigs are eating.
By the way, after today's game in Cleveland, Boston has road games against the Spurs and the Thunder. Fun.
Yeah.
Lots of fun. All right, 3:30 Eastern, ABC. Jalen Brunson, the Knicks visit LeBron and the Lakers. Give me your Q-tips for New York and L.A.
Q-tips for the Knicks are simple. Big body Brunson, got to be big body Brunson. You need him and Cat Anthony Towns. When I talk about Cat, obviously he needs to score the ball and bring his shooting, but I need his presence on the rebounds. I mean, I don't expect him to block shots and be a rim enforcer, but he can put big numbers up rebounding and be a big factor for them. I feel like when he has big rebound numbers, he helps them tremendously.
Okay. What about the Lakers?
For the Lakers, my Q-tips are simple, man. LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves.
That's it.
Yeah, and if they can get anything from the centers and the big guys, Aiden and those guys down low, that's the plus. But when you got 3 guys that can be explosive like that, I don't care what's going on. They have a chance. They always will have a chance with those guys out there.
You really believe that
do.
they can get it together? And
That's the question.
Yes.
Can they get it together? I don't know that, but I know when you got those type of guys that's on the same team, 3 of them like that, if one thing goes right and they get in sync, it could be canceled Christmas for everybody.
okay, we'll see. Great day of hoops on ABC ahead. Quentin Richardson, Q.
Yes, sir.
Tips, my brother. Thank you.
Can't cancel